Jianliang, can you tell us, there are so many talented Chinese athletes from China, in China, but you seem to be different. What has made you such a star in China, you think?
Well, I think everyone is different. It's not only me. And I think the reason why I get the most attention from Chinese fans or the fans from other place is that I use my distinctive way to win the fight inside of the ring, which is not a common way from, compared to other fighters. That's my opinion on that.
Now, everyone was really, really excited when you signed with One Championship. Can you tell us why did you choose to join One Championship?
One Championship is actually a great platform, a platform that I can trust, a platform that can get, that can get my name known around the world. The most important thing is that I think One Championship has, One Championship is respected by so many serious fighters. So do I. That's the reason why I choose the One Championship.
That's awesome. Now talk about your nickname, Tank. What's the origin of that? How did you get that name?
Well, the nickname of mine, which is Tank, I think it was made by the fan base. I don't know exactly who made that. I think it describes my style in the beginning of my career, but now I have totally changed the style of mine. So the Tank, wasn't very suitable for me. But at the moment, I haven't got any other thoughts towards my nickname. So that's why I want to continue to use Tank, because it's my nickname right now.
Great.
Because in the beginning, I always, go forwards. I never, go backwards. That's the main reason.
That's interesting. Now, I think there are quite a few Western fans who might not have seen you fight, might not have heard about you. How would you describe yourself as a fighter for those who have not seen, how you finish fights, how you do in the cage?
Well, I think about my style inside of the ring, I would like to emphasize that compared to other fighters, they have their styles. They have their, steady or stable strategy towards all the fights. But for me, I don't believe that we can use one type of style or one strategy to all the, opponents in the coming years. So I use different strategies, different mind, different plan. So it's more like a Bruce Lee said, in water. So that's the goal, and that's the direction that I want to go, and that's the ultimate way to formulate my style in the coming fights as well. Just be fluent, be water. So don't be a same thing all the time.
That's really interesting because you brought in Bruce Lee and this Chinese sort of, martial arts, because Akimoto comes from a karate background, right? And then you are from a Wushu background. Would you be able to, talk about more about Wushu and, why do you feel more fighters should practice Wushu?
Well, about the Wushu in China, I think most of the people, even in China and also other countries, they misunderstood the real meaning of Wushu. Wushu is actually more about mental things, mental beliefs. Of course, its foundation is also about the combat. And my understanding about the Wushu is that there's so many types of Wushu in China. Of course, I have been practicing Chinese traditional martial arts for many years already, and I started to practice ever since when I was 13 years old. So I feel like my foundation right now is based on my Wushu backgrounds, and I just want to say that Wushu is not, the people understand today. nowadays people don't understand too much about Wushu, in my opinion, especially Chinese traditional martial arts. So I want to do my best to show other fans, whether it's in China or other countries, that Chinese traditional martial arts are actually working inside of the ring if you properly use them. That's my goal.
Let me ask you a bit about, your studies. You are actually practicing martial arts and also studying at Loughborough, am I right? Yeah. How do you juggle that, training as well as studying?
Well, it's a good question. I think you said it. It's pretty difficult to balance, between different things, especially, I mean, all of us, our life, our everyday lives, our works, between our family members, how you're going to balance between those important elements in our lives.
Yeah.
It's like, I believe that how to overcome a huge challenge in front of me is to challenge is to do another challenge. So I put these two challenges, like mentally study and physically study, and I shift or switch up between these elements to minimize the pressure or anxiety of each of them. That's my way to balance my state and and get the best performance of mine as well.
Got it. Very interesting. I now shall ask you a few questions about your upcoming fight against Hiroki. So he mentioned earlier in his interview that he said, like, since you haven't been fighting for quite a while, he felt that you should be nervous about this fight, because this is your comeback fight after a while. What do you have to say about that?
Firstly, I want to say that congratulations on him. I am nervous. I have to emphasize, I have to be honest, I am nervous. And I have to tell you guys that I'm nervous with all the fights. I feel anxiety with all the fights. I feel stress, pressure for all the fights that I have done as well. But I believe that nervous, anxiety, stress, pressure are the normal emotions that human beings have. So you don't have to be scared of those emotions. You just have to, to be living with them, to be understanding with them. Don't be fear of them, and try to be friend, towards those emotions. And when you feel these emotions, which means that you are prepared 100%, which means that you are care about the things that you are doing right now. So if you think that I'm nervous, I'm ready.
I also want to check with you, like, what do you think about Hiroyuki Akimoto as a fighter? Did you study him? What do you think about him?
I studied him a little bit, not too much, because I know that my way is not focusing on my opponent too much. For me, my opponent is just a objective inside of the ring. With respect, the objective here is with respect. It's not mean that he is not a human being. I mean, for me, he's just objective inside the ring. I just try to beat this objective. So no emotional thoughts. So he's, on the other hand, I think he's smart, calm, strategic, which is a very competitive fight. That's my thought about him.
What do you think are your advantages? What makes you a better fighter?
I think more experience about fighting with the top fighters around the world, and also I'm older, so I might have more mature compared to him. He's younger, so I think all the things have two sides. If you think you are older, and you also thinking about the good side of a older fighter, which is more mature, thinking about the things more comprehensive, that's my advantages. Well, I read so many tactical book in China, especially Sun Tzu, the Art of War. I find it very useful, and it's not a book that you can take out from the library outside of China. It's part of our culture. So I think that's what sets our apart, and that's also what sets me apart. Just try to use all of the mindsets and strategies into my style inside of the ring. Yes.
So Hiroki Akimoto, he's the number 3rd bantamweight in terms of ranking. So do you think if you defeat him, you will really prove that you are one of the best fighters in one championship? And do you think you deserve a title shot if you get past him this December 3rd?
Okay, I think I will show to the people that I am a very, very competitive fighter if I can beat him. And I also think that I deserve the title fight after winning him, because I just try my best to push myself to the limit to get my chance, to get my opportunities. And and of course I believe I will win. And let's see how far is the title fight after this fight.
What do you think Hiroki will try against you this Friday? What do you think he's gonna do?
I don't know, honestly, but I think he's gonna keep away from me and try to use his low kick and surprise high kick as much as possible. And he will try to win the fight by point, according to my analysis about his fights, about his previous fight. So yeah, that's my thought about his plan.
You mentioned you read The Art of War, that sort of books. Does any of those, reading materials help you inside the cage, as a fighter in life, in general, planning strategies?
Yes, all of those strategies and tactics, from those books are helping me a lot. For example, I couldn't understand those strategies and mindsets in the beginning of my career. But as I grow older, I fight more, and I can slowly understand those mindsets, those strategies. And then I feel like, I should have read those books earlier. That we can regret about the past. Yeah, so that's why I just try my best to read as much book as possible to make my mind more clear, because all the physical actions are controlled by our mind. So controlling our mind is the first thing to do in order to control your body.
That's awesome. So one final question from me before I check with the China team if they have any additional questions. Can you call your shot or make a prediction how you're gonna win and what round?
Well, my prediction of my fight is that I will try my best to knock him out as soon as possible and win by knockout.